As a kid, I always dreamed of being in a big moment like this to put my team in a situation where we're able to go and compete at a higher level, nationals.
Welcome to episode 410 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. What a week and a half it's been since the road to Okotoks and the WCBL All-Star Game. Hope you enjoyed catching up on all the additional content we put out during that stretch while we took the last 10 days off. So let's get back into a bit of a routine here in our first session of the news in a while. We won't go through the last 3 weeks in their entirety, but we'll touch on a few of the big storylines, and we'll start with our usual check-in on the guys in the majors. In Dogs Academy and Okotoks Dogs alum Tristan Peters, who has slumped a little bit since the All-Star break. He's still putting up some solid numbers, though, in his rookie campaign with the Chicago White Sox. He's hitting .272 with 6 homers, 37 RBI, and 5 stolen bases in 103 games. Spruce Grove native and Vauxhall grad Adam Mako was recalled by the Toronto Blue Jays last Thursday. As he's been up and down with the numbers game in the bullpen, he's made 3 appearances since that call-up. He's now 2-0 on the campaign with a .491 ERA in 22 big league games. Edmonton's Eric Sabrowski has had a bit of a roller coaster return from injury in mid-June. He's 4-2 on the campaign with a .348 ERA in 39 games. The Cleveland reliever is also tied for 6th in the majors in holds with 20. And Calgary's Michael Soroka continues his rehab from a glute injury sustained prior to the All-Star break. He threw a bullpen session on Monday after a 2-inning simulated game on Saturday. Soroka is still aiming to return to the Arizona rotation sometime in early August. To the minors we go, and Innisfail native and St. Joe's grad Nathan Flewelling had another home run in the last week and is still cruising along with the high A Bowling Green Hot Rods. He's hitting .256 with 17 homers, 54 RBI, and 7 stolen bases in 84 games. Eric Hartman's incredible season in high A with the Rome Emperors continues. The Dogs product had another 2-homer game on Wednesday to go along with 4 RBI and a stolen base. On the season, he now sports a .278 average with 24 homers, 63 RBI, and 37 stolen bases in 91 games. Fellow Dogs grad Gavin Logan has settled down in AA with the Amarillo Sod Poodles, where he's been for the last 6 weeks or so after jumping up to AAA for 3 games. He's hitting .205 on the year with 10 homers and 27 RBI in 58 games. Speaking of settling down, that's what's happened with Vauxhall grad and Bigger native Garrett Hawkins. He's also in AA with the San Antonio Missions. He's 1-0 on the year with a .518 ERA and 28 appearances, split between the Missions and the AAA El Paso Chihuahuas. And a tough break for Dogs product Matt Lloyd as he's been released by the Boston Red Sox. He had been hitting .206 with 5 homers and 15 RBI in an injury-plagued season with AAA Worcester. Let's go to the WCBL now, and we are down to the last week of the regular season. Plenty is in flux when it comes to the postseason, and as we record this, Okotoks, Sylvan Lake, and Lethbridge have all clinched spots, while Energy City, Brooks, and Fort Mac are all in a fight for that final slot. In the East, Moose Jaw and Saskatoon are in, while Regina, Medicine Hat, Weyburn, and Swift Current are duking it out for the final 2 spots. A couple of records have been set over the past week or so. Swift Current's Jake Hiromoto is now the single-season record holder in home runs and RBI, while Moose Jaw's Thomas Soto now holds the stolen bases crown. We could also see the single-season innings pitched and strikeouts records fall, with Moose Jaw's Weston Walls knocking on the door for both, while the single-season doubles mark could be toppled by Medicine Hat's Carter Roth. Hiromoto will be joining us on the show in just a few minutes. In the West Coast League, the season is winding down for the Edmonton Riverhawks as they're on the road for their final 9 games. They are 26-21 on the season, on the cusp of qualifying for the playoffs. Of note, a big congratulations to them as they've set the WCL record for attendance again, welcoming an impressive 142,000 plus fans to Remax Field, trouncing last year's mark of over 131,000. A big congratulations to a trio of Alberta athletes who helped Canada punch their ticket to the WBSC Women's Baseball World Cup in 2027. Madison Willen, Cassie Matlock, and Juliana Scott were big pieces as they finished the group stage with a 3-2 record, finishing third and punching their ticket to the main event in Rockford, Illinois next summer. Speaking of Willen, she was also a medalist at the Baseball Canada Women's Nationals in Winnipeg a couple of weeks ago. She was a member of Team BC who beat Quebec Powder Blue 8-1 in the gold medal matchup. Willen was among a few Alberta athletes who represented other provinces as Alberta didn't field a team at this year's competition. On that note, I have spoken with several people involved in women's baseball in this province, and they say it's a temporary pause and they fully expect to be back in 2027. The attention of nationals now heads to Saskatoon for the 19U Women's Nationals, which will get underway today, being Thursday. We have stories up on recent podcast guests Beth Saar and Natalie Kerr up on our websites. Speaking of nationals, a couple of teams have qualified for the 18U Men's Nationals in Fort McMurray later this summer. Big congratulations to the Saskatoon Diamondbacks on claiming their first Saskatchewan Premier Baseball League title over the weekend, while the Parkland Twins captured the Baseball Alberta Elite League Championship. We have a guest from those Twins coming up a little bit later on in the show. Some cool news coming in on Wednesday as Weber Academy has announced they'll be hosting a Best of the West Showcase qualifier from October 1st to 4th. This will be held for teams hoping to get into the main event in the spring. And speaking of big tournaments, Baseball Alberta has announced the 2026 Western Canada Prospect Series will be heading to St. Albert this year. The top 14U and 16U talent from the 4 Western provinces will meet up September 3rd through 6th. And the first 50 names have been unveiled for the annual Blue Jays Academy Canadian Future Showcase, which is being held in Vancouver this year. A big congratulations to Callum Anderson, Sam Davis, Gabe Fink, Nate Hallahan, Josh Mills, Zach McDonald, Cohen Miller, Dane Liskey, Hudson Harding, Ethan Renault, Rogan Rivard, and Daryl Rodriguez on getting the call. A few others who train here in Alberta were also named, including Noah Corrente, Bryden White, and Will Zelensky, among others. No one from Saskatchewan was named on that initial list. We'll have more updates on that showcase when they're made available. That's going to do it for the news. And when we come back, a WCBL record breaker, a Baseball Alberta Elite League champion, and a special conversation going back to the recent MLB draft. This is Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. Jump.ca is your SaskTel authorized dealer and a proud supporter of Saskatchewan Dugout Stories. Jump.ca has all your bases covered with SaskTel wireless, internet, TV, and home security services. Bring it all together at one of their 18 Jump.ca stores across Saskatchewan. Jump.ca, your SaskTel authorized dealer. Welcome back to the show, and our first guest this week is actually back for a second time this summer. We first got to know Swift Current 57 slugger Jake Hiromoto back on episode 399 as he was starting to really set the WCBL on fire. Little did we know he was about to set records for home runs and RBI in a season, and there are still a few games left. On the most recent edition of the WCBL Report with myself and Clark Monroe, I had the chance to sit down with the Flying Hawaiian to discuss the record and the vibes around the clubhouse heading into the last few days. Jake, welcome to the show. First off, let's start here. Jake Hiromoto, WCBL single-season home run and RBI king. Now that you've had a couple of minutes to think about it, how does that sound? What does that mean to you?
I think that this award is really, really cool, but it doesn't mean like a crazy amount. I wish that, because individual awards to me are just, I don't know, I just don't think very highly of them. I think that I wish that we had some more team awards. I think that our team is so talented and that, we could still make a run. Like, I don't think that you should count us out yet, but I think that winning the championship would mean so much more to me than being any individual award.
Mm-hmm. When did you start thinking that this was a possibility, that you might actually be able to etch your name into the record books?
To be honest, I didn't even know that this is even a thing. Like, I just was always thinking that you play the game hard, you play the game the right way, that you'll always be rewarded. And I think that it was the night before when I hit 3 home runs that my teammates started to talk about it, and it was damn, like this is gonna be pretty cool if I could do this.
So you get homer 20, and then you have a day where you don't get one. Are you swinging the bat a little harder? Like at that point, are you wanting to get one out of the park, or are you just like got to stick to the process? Like walk me through the mindset as you're trying to temper your expectations maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I think the expectations were high, and like I think it would have been really easy and really immature of me to be up there trying to swing for the fences, knowing that there's 10 games left, and just to do what got me here, to do what got me to this point, what approach, and I think that it was to stick to that approach, stick up the middle, stay on line drives, and it will happen. I mean, I've gotten up to this point by doing that, so that was my main goal.
Mhm. Then you get it against Moose Jaw on Sunday. I've watched the video. Unfortunately, I wasn't in attendance for it, but I couldn't help but notice you, at the very least, took a moment to either admire it or maybe to soak in the moment. Walk me through what's going on in your mind in that moment. Is you had to have known just the sound of that bat that that thing was gone.
Yeah, I mean, I got a fastball that I was looking for. I feel like I got pretty much all of it, and after that, I don't even know like how to explain it or what I was thinking through that moment. I just was just letting whatever happened happen, and it felt really really cool to kind of stand there a little bit. But um, yeah, I don't really like remember a lot. I just feel like I kind of backed out right there. Like I was just so excited, and just to see my teammates be happy for me and be us to be like jumping up and down right there. That was like such a cool moment, and one that like I'll never forget.
Obviously, you kind of alluded to it earlier, is this is in a moment where you guys are picking up some wins. You picked up two big ones over the weekend against a very good Moose Jaw team. Talk about the momentum in that room. Talk about the fact that you guys aren't out of this thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's very much a four-horse race for those two final playoff spots in the East.
Exactly. I think I said this before that like through the wins and losses, like our clubhouse has been spectacular. Like everyone wants to be there, everyone wants to fight for each other, and you know we still have a couple games against Weyburn, a couple games against Medhat, and we're still in the race. So I think that it's so important to never get too high and never get too low, and just try and win some ball games coming up.
You and I have talked about this on the Dugout Stories podcast, and I want to bring this to the WCBL report crowd as well. You're a Hawaii guy, you're a University of San Francisco guy, and here you are in Swift Current. What's the experience been like for you, first off? And second, what does that community mean to you now? Because the last time you and I chatted about this, there's a lot of energy about how you're feeling about that place.
Yeah, I mean this is I love this place, man, and they've welcomed me with open arms. And I told my billets the other night that it truly takes a village, and this isn't like an individual award. Like you guys have been here for me, and like shout out to my billets, Amy and Annie Weens. Like they've been doing everything for me, and it's definitely like a switch of scenery, I'd say, from San Francisco and Hawaii. But I mean, I'm so grateful that I took this opportunity, and I wouldn't want the summer to go any other way.
For sure. Final question for you. When you think back to those first couple of days in Swift as an example, could that version of you have ever believed what you were about to experience in the WCBL, whether it be, the community, whether it be the league, whether it be the moments, or whether it be entering your name into the record books as the home run king and the RBI king for a season?
I don't think so. I don't think he had any expectations. Honestly, I just think that he wanted to come up here, have fun, and just enjoy playing some ball. And you know, it's really cool that now, like, when it's like almost all said and done, that this is what happened. And I'm just so grateful for like my coaches, my teammates, and just the whole community of Swift for just being there for me and supporting me through it all.
We're grateful for you to take a few minutes on an off day to chat with us here on the WCBL Report. Jay, congrats on the records. Congrats on the season so far. Best of luck during the stretch run. And thanks again for joining us here on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my honor. Go 57s.
Next up, we head to the Baseball Alberta Elite League, where the Parkland Twins are champions after a nail-biting 7-6 extra innings win over the Red Deer Rangers in the final. The Twins were the circuit's best team all season and were cruising through the championship weekend before they hit a road bump late in that final. Down 6-3, they clawed their way back in to tie it. Then in the bottom of the eighth, Garet Ostapchuk set off the dog pile with an RBI single. We caught up with the Spruce Grove native earlier this week to talk about his journey in the game and, of course, winning it all on a walk-off. Garet, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
2026 BAEL champions, the Parkland Twins. How does that sound a couple of days after the fact?
Oh, amazing. Yeah, just amazing.
We'll get to your walk-off in a second, but take me back to the beginning of the season. Did you think you had a pretty special group even then?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Right from the beginning, it was a great group of guys. I've known them pretty much my whole life, so they're like a second family, and it was just a really tight-knit group that was honestly, everyone contributed, and everybody improved throughout the year, and I think that was what led us to winning a provincial champion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You almost ran the table during the season as well. What was key to your success through the spring and into the summer as well?
I would say sticking to a routine. I feel like as soon as school ended, I went a little bit on a downslope, and then once I figured out with help from my coaches that I needed to get back into a routine, I was able to slowly start coming back up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From a team perspective, what was really working for you guys?
I would say criticism. Everybody was super open with each other. No matter whether someone had K'd up and I don't know, was in their head, we had guys picking them up and sharing information.
You get into that championship weekend and you pick up some wins early. How do you guys keep that even keel so you're not taking someone for granted later on in the playoffs? Because it can be really easy after a real good regular season to maybe go, okay, we got this in the bag kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, we put in a lot of work before we even got into provincials. I feel like our mental game was really elevated. Our coaches had many talks. Like, we spent practices just sitting down, focusing on our mental side of things. So we were able to have that resiliency to not take anything for granted and just keep pushing forward.
For sure. That final was a nail biter as well and kind of tested that resiliency to a certain extent. I mean, what goes through your guys' heads when Red Deer gets that 3-run homer to take the lead?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was frightening for sure. Yeah, our coach pulled us off to the side, and he was feeling the nerves too, and we just had to stay resilient and push through. Obviously, the sixth inning didn't go our way, but in the seventh inning, we were able to put a few runs on the board and come back. So, yeah, it was good.
What are you guys saying to each other in that moment? Because you know that your back's kind of up against the wall to a certain extent, right? Like, how do you keep motivated and keep the wheels churning kind of thing so the next man comes up?
Honestly, I feel like we just kind of had a team mentality. Like, throughout the season, it was literally always next guy up mentality. And I feel like that was hammered into us, and we were able to, I don't know, kind of stay more individualized. Everybody was dealing with the stress differently and push through it differently. Yeah.
Walk me through you walking up to the plate in the last inning, the last at-bat. What's rolling through that noggin as you're sitting there going, okay, the game's kind of on the line here?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Well, it started in the warm-up circle. I always stay to a routine, and honestly, I made a little prayer to help me through this at bat and keep my noggin cool. And when I got up there, I was just, honestly, it was surreal because as a kid, I always dreamed of like being in a big moment like this to put my team in a situation where we're able to go and compete at a higher level, nationals. And yeah, it was really crazy. I just tried to tell myself to keep a cool head and that there was no one better and next guy up. And that was kind of what happened. I was really just trying to look for anything that I could hit. And at one point, the nerves actually got to me and I had to call time, but stepped out, took a breath, and I was ready to go again. Yeah.
I was going to ask about that hunting part. Were you looking for a specific pitch, or were you just looking for, hey, if it's in the zone, I'm going to do what I can with it?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Just if it's in the zone, I'm going to do what I can and see what happens. Yeah.
So then you make contact and the ball gets into the outfield. What's going through your mind? Is it a matter of like just touch first, or how? Walk me through that those moments.
No, I was so scared because we had a guy on second, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a base hit. I wasn't expecting my coach to send the guy on second to home. And honestly, when I saw my coach waving him home, I was like freaking out. And when I got to first, I was just a blur of emotions. And yeah, it was really crazy. Yeah.
Speaking of crazy, how crazy is the dog pile after a moment like that?
Oh my gosh. It was, yeah. Oh my gosh. Everybody was just so happy. And I remember one of the first moments is when the guy on second scored at home. Everybody just running at me, and it was just a big mob coming towards me, and it was really exciting.
I can only imagine. And then obviously you get that opportunity to take that step back and go, wow, that was pretty cool. But also onwards and upwards, right? You get to rep Alberta at nationals. What's that going to mean to you?
Oh my gosh, it's a huge honor. There's a whole bunch of good players in our in Alberta, and being able to go and compete for our province is going to be so much fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to that. Let's look back a little bit now, Garet, and talk about your origin story in baseball. How'd you get into the game in the first place?
So my family actually introduced me when I was young. I think maybe around 3 years old, I started getting into baseball, and I've played tons of other sports, and I've always come back to baseball, and I just love everything about it. So I just kept sticking with it, and I want to see where it takes me.
Do you remember the moment where it flipped for you, where it went from, okay, this is a pretty cool game and all these other sports are really cool, but I want to focus on this one?
Actually, that wasn't that long ago. I used to play volleyball up until grade 11, and then just my grade 12 year, I was like, baseball is a pretty cool sport. And I just, cut everything else off and focused mainly on baseball now. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite team or a favorite player?
I would say right now, my favorite player would be Pickrell Armstrong, but I'm also watching Connor Griffin.
All right.
I don't have a favorite team right now.
That's awesome that you got your eyes on a couple of young up and comers. For
example. The young ones.
That's awesome. Take me through your favorite moment. Obviously, the last one is this past weekend, but has there been a favorite other moment along the journey where you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. You had to take that step back and go, okay, I kind of like this game a lot, and this is why.
One of my probably fondest memories, specifically with baseball, is Fort Mac. One of our games got delayed so late that our game actually ended up finishing at 3 a.m. in the morning. And to end the game, I actually hit another walk-off. So that was pretty surreal. All the parents were super. Yeah, it was just amazing. And one of my other, I don't know if this counts, but my favorite memories are just honestly the road trips and hanging out with teammates and all the little moments throughout the season.
100% that counts. And I love both stories on that front. It's also cool to know that you've hit another walk-off. Was that this past season?
That might have been 2 years ago. Yeah, okay. I think that was might have been last year. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Very, very cool. On the flip side, we all know baseball is a game of failure. What's the biggest challenge or hurdle you've had to overcome where you're super proud of yourself that you were able to rise above?
Honestly, that just comes from the like Ks and on the pitching side, not having it not go your way. Overcoming that That's a challenge. You gotta rely on your teammates and you know, let let them embrace you, and you gotta really embrace failure, I guess. Yeah.
Mm,
It's just part of the game, and yeah, you gotta be able to deal with it.
for sure. A few fun ones
Yeah.
before we let you go, Garrett. First off, what's your walk-up tune?
My walk-up tune?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Dire Straits, ain't Money for Nothing.
Yes, some old school. I
Yeah.
like that. I'll take that every day of the
Yeah.
week. Uh,
Yeah.
when you're at the ballpark as a fan, what's your go-to food at the concourse?
It's gotta be the hot dogs. It's gotta be.
Okay,
Can't be nothing.
so if it's
Yeah.
the hot dogs, ketchup, mustard combo, nothing. What's the toppings?
All of it. As much as you can put on the dog. Whatever they got there, it's going on there.
That is awesome. And finally,
Yeah.
how excited are you to join Edmonton Collegiate?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my, yeah. I've been thinking about this so much. It honestly just doesn't feel real. To be able to go and play at or extend my baseball career, and I'm really excited to see where it takes me. Yeah.
For sure. We are as well. Two more that we
Yeah.
always ask everybody here on the show. First off, for those young kids who are just starting out on their journeys and they want to get to where you're at now, what's that one piece of advice or those words of wisdom you've learned along the way that you'd love to pass along to them?
Mm, it would have to be okay, number one, embrace failure, but also make sure to have fun, work hard, and don't get discouraged when things don't go your way. Yeah,
That is
that's
some
my piece. Yep.
fantastic advice for sure. And finally, what does the game of baseball mean to you, Garrett?
Um, honestly, it's everything. Not yeah. It's like I've been playing it since I was a kid. Showing up to the diamond and seeing my buddies there has just been such a helpful thing throughout the years, and I think that baseball has molded me into who I am today.
Well, it's been an honor getting a chance to hear about your journey and about this past weekend as well, Garrett. Congratulations again on the championship. Congrats on all the success you've had at this point, continued success in your journey. And again, thanks so much for
Yeah.
joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
We're going to take one more break here on the show, and when we come back, a special conversation with Baseball Sask's Greg Brons. This is Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. Want to get your business or organization noticed on the top baseball podcast in Western Canada? Have a big sale going on or an event you'd like to promote? Drop me a line at joe@albertadugoutstories.com and let's talk about elevating your brand here on the show. Welcome back to the show, and our final guest this week was over the moon after the MLB draft. Greg Brons watched excitedly as his former star pupil, Cardiff's Carter Beck, was taken 26th overall by the Atlanta Braves in this summer's MLB draft. Beck was the first Canadian off the board and the highest ever to be taken from Saskatchewan. We caught up with Brons shortly thereafter, but it was right before our wild couple of weeks of shows from the WCBL All-Star Game and the road to Okotoks. So let's take you back to that conversation. Greg, welcome back to the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Joe. Pleasure to be here.
What a day it's been. Carter Beck goes in the first round of the MLB draft to the Atlanta Braves. What went through your mind when you first heard the news?
Well, my wife texted me, and so I'm at a baseball diamond, and I'm scouting, and I'm watching the Evan Thomas tournament, and I kind of check back every once in a while, thinking, I've got time because he's probably going to go in the second or third round. And then all of a sudden I look down and my wife texts me, wow, 26. And I'm like, what, 26? So she's following it too. And it's like, holy cow, 26th round, that's a first round. Or sorry, 26th overall pick, that's the first round. So, and then everybody in the park started talking about it because Southeast Twins, his 15U team that he played on, they're buzzing about it because they're in a game right now, and I'm actually watching their team play.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was kind of a neat atmosphere in Saskatoon here, because he's a former, Saskatoon Berry, and plus the Southeast Twins are at the tournament. So, yeah, a lot of people were pretty happy. It was kind of a great Saskatchewan moment.
That's got to be super cool, too, because I saw a post on social just in the last couple of days here where he got to visit with some of those Southeast Twins, right? Like there's an element of him giving back to the community while he's back in town. He's got the watch party and all that going on, but he's taking time out, and that probably made a pretty big impact on those kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually talked to some of the Southeast kids. I said, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And they said, "Oh man, this is fantastic," because one kid told me, he says, "Yeah, he came to our practice, and basically the message was, you work hard and you remember where you're from." And I was like, "Wow, what a great message!"
Mm.
So that's the message that he's delivering to those kids that are playing on a team that he used to play for. To be proud of where you're from. Remember where you're from. Be humble and work hard. I mean, what a great message, and I hope that message, carries on to all the youth baseball players in this province, because that's the thing about Saskatchewan. We're all pretty proud of coming from Saskatchewan. I mean, we all see it in Canada here. People in Saskatchewan, when they go outside the province, they wear their Rough Rider stuff, and people kind of point and say, "Hey, you're a Sasky," and it's like, yeah, we're proud to be from here, because it's a great part of the world. People work hard. We have to endure a lot of things. Winters are tough, but we sure come together as a community, and we sure look out for each other. So what a great message Carter had.
Absolutely. And speaking of remember where you're from, for him, you got to see him up close and personal for a few years there as well, coaching different teams and watching him as far as scouting is concerned. Did you think at that time you had a potential MLB pick in there?
You know what? Like when he was with us at the Canada Games, I saw him. It was COVID for a couple of years, and I just saw him at camps and stuff like that. And then finally, 2022, we got to get together for the Canada Games, and I know he played a lot of infield for Southeast Twins, and it's like, "Hey, Carter, you can run. I'm going to put you in the outfield." And, for a guy that didn't get a lot of reps in the outfield all summer long, I mean, he performed well. So, and it's like, okay, that kid is an athlete, because, a lot of people would be, maybe a little apprehensive, playing a position all of a sudden in a high profile tournament like the Canada Games. And he, he made some great catches. He was our best hitter, and then in 2023, he carried us for another bronze medal, where, Cam Marshak would get on base, and, Carter would hit a double. That was our offense, or a home run. That's the way it was. And I remember, Mulliken, he was helping us coach that year in 2023. He says, "That kid's going to be a big leaguer." And I was like, "Wow, really? You think so?" And he's like, "Yeah, that kid he's got it." And he's just different. I remember at the Canada Cup in 2023, we had a kind of a nothing game. The game didn't mean anything, and I was like, "Hey, Carter, you need to rest. I'm gonna sit you this game." And he was pacing around that dugout, and he's like, "Man, I don't even know what to do with myself." I thought, okay, most kids would probably appreciate the rest. No, Carter wants to play every single day. That's just the type of guy he is. He wants to compete. Yeah.
What is it about him that really stood out to you? Like, was it the work ethic? Was it the bat? What was it that really stood out to you that made you, especially in the early going, say, "This is a guy that I want on this roster, and this is a guy that we can kind of build around, or be, make sure that he's a big part of the middle of the order kind of thing"?
Well, he comes from a baseball family. He loves baseball. He works hard. Like, I know, talking with Joe Carnahan, so Joe had him with the Berries for a couple of years. And Joe told me, he says, that kid would go and work construction, and then come back, to the ballpark in his steel tip boots, his work clothes, and then take batting practice and play a game. Where I know a lot of guys that age, and they'd probably sleep until 11 o'clock and then come down to the ballpark. Not Carter Beck. I mean, he absolutely works. He works hard, whether it be construction, whether it be baseball. And how can you not love a hard-nosed kid like that? I mean, that's probably the approach that he's going to have in the minor leagues. Hey, I'm going to come to this ballpark and I'm going to work every day. So if I was the Atlanta Braves, it's like, yeah, that's the kind of guy I want in my organization, because he's going to make players all around him, better. They're going to say, "Oh man, I got to keep up to that guy."
Absolutely. Speaking of that, how excited are you to watch him go from here now that he's seen that dream unfold? I talked to him a few times over the course of the last few years, and it feels like he's made everything a reality. How exciting is it to see him take this next step and do what he continues to do?
Yeah, we're really excited. I think people are through the roof, because I've been at this job for 26 years, and we've had draft picks like Logan Hoffman in the 5th round. There were James Avery in the 5th round, and Cole Beimel, and we're always excited for draft picks, but I never thought we'd have a first round draft pick coming out of Saskatchewan. You know, to be a first round draft pick, man, you got to be pretty special. So this is just a big moment in Saskatchewan baseball history, and I don't know if everybody appreciates it, but like baseball people do. But wow, this is really something, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that leads to my final question here for you, Greg. And it's about that highest ever draft pick coming out of Saskatchewan. What do you think that means for those kids, like whether it be Southeast or whether it be from Saskatoon or whether it be from Regina, to be able to go, hey, we can do that too?
Yeah. It's funny you say that, Joe, because I was just at we kind of do a 13U camp here in Saskatchewan. We do one in Regina, and then we do one in Saskatoon. And I remember talking at the end of the camp with the 13U kids, you know, and I kind of took Carter Beck as an example. I just said, you know what, guys, I mean, there's a lot of noise out there. You got to attend this, you got to attend that, you got to do travel this, you got to do travel that, you know, you got to focus just on baseball. And I said, hey, we've got a kid in rural Saskatchewan, stayed in Cardiff, Saskatchewan, and he played his hockey, he played his high school athletics. I mean, I think he won the 100-meter sprint championship here in Saskatchewan and played baseball. He was a multi-sport athlete. You know, his parents didn't have to, you know, travel around the world to go play baseball, you know. And I pointed at a bucket of balls. I said, that is all you need to get better. There's a bucket of baseballs. Go hit every day. Go take ground balls every day. Go throw every day. You know, there's no real secret, you know. That's the ingredient right there. Work hard and get better at the game every day and have a great attitude like he has, you know, and that's the message. And I should mention too, like he's had some, you know, like I can't say enough about Joe Carnahan and Chance Wheatley and those guys with the Saskatoon Berries. Like, I think Joe Carnahan's probably the best hitting instructor in this country, you know, and what Chance did with him in working him as, you know, to become an elite outfielder, it's unbelievable. You know, so he's had some help, but I tell you what, Carter he comes to work, you know, you know the saying, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. Well, you know, he's had the right guidance from comes from a great family, but yeah, he's really worked at it.
It's quite the day in Saskatchewan for sure, and more to come in the days, months, and years ahead. Greg, always a pleasure getting a chance to chat about baseball in Sask, and in particular on a day like today. So again, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Just one other thing too, Joe. You know, I saw a post, you know, Bob Elliott, I think he kind of knew more than anybody what was happening, but he dedicated this year's draft to Jim Baba.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember seeing that on Facebook thinking, okay, what does Bob know here, you know? Because and I said, and I kind of put a comment there, wouldn't it be great if the first Canadian guy was a Saskatchewan guy being drafted this year, knowing that this is dedicated to Jim Baba being an old Sasky from Moose Jaw. I just thought, wow, maybe Bob knew something more than anybody.
That is incredible, and something that you can only imagine. And again, the baseball gods seem to work in mysterious and crazy ways, and it's a great day because of it, because of what they've done. So again, Greg, really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for this.
Thanks again to Jake Hiromoto, Garet Ostapchuk, and Greg Brons for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. So you're probably wondering what we have planned for the next few weeks as the WCBL postseason is upon us. We did do extra shows last year, and that is the plan again this time around. We'll bring you another episode as usual coming up next Thursday, which is the off day between the last day of the season and the start of the playoffs. Then we'll have a new one to preview the Division Series and another for the WCBL Championship Series. And as always, we'll bring you conversations from field level after the Harry Hallis Trophy is handed out in mid-August. Then we'll get back to our regular Thursday cadence to round out the summer. If you haven't already, now would be a perfect time to hit that subscribe button on your app so you don't miss a moment of the action. As always, a tip of the cap to our Platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, for their generosity in helping us tell the game stories in our province. They help us cover costs like web hosting fees and travel, which has been massive, especially this summer. If you'd like to support our efforts, check out albertadugoutstories.com/supporters or buymeacoffee.com/dugoutstories. Until next time, thanks to all of you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.